Live.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the relationship series. My name is Gina Spataro, and this is my brother Sam Spataro, always talking about the matters of the heart and mind. Don't mind the noise in the background. I have my windows open because it's extremely hot in here.
You don't have AC?
I do. I haven't turned it on yet.
Oh, why?
I feel like it's still so early.
But are you like trying to conserve energies, like to keep your energy bill down, or?
No, I'm not. I just feel like it's still May and like there should
Oh,
be a cool breeze, but I think I'm wrong. So
well, I mean, I can
think I might.
check. I can check for you what the 7-day weather network is for Barrie if it makes you feel better. You got 28, 29, 25, 24. It might not be a bad idea to flick it on.
Yeah, maybe I'll flick it on.
I mean, you have AC.
I do.
Should use it.
Yeah, it's quite the luxury. It's nice. Yeah, how's everything over there with the pool and having some cool nights yourself?
Yeah, no, it's good. We actually just got, it's not actually officially open, meaning, all the chemicals, the pool's fully clean, etc. But kids have been using it. Our water feature is up and running and working. A little bit of an issue with it. So it's what's called a shear descent. It's the part that you put in. It's basically this plastic thing you put in behind the water feature that shoots out the water from the pump. So it basically deters water from going inside the pool from the jets and creates another flow in behind the water feature. And we're having water come back in behind it. So yeah, it wasn't installed in the right height, so we got to take it out and move it up. But I mean, other than that, it's awesome. Like even just being in the backyard and listening to it, like trickle, it's pretty amazing. I actually went in it today after work for the first time, and it's pretty cool. I just kind of sat under it, and it was neat. It was nice. It's really nice, and kids are loving it. That they actually had a break yesterday from school, and they decided to hop in the pool. We actually got a what do you call those jumpy things?
Castle? Oh,
no, trampoline. We got a trampoline too.
For the water?
No, like a trampoline.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day, Ellie actually woke up early. It was the first thing she did.
Awesome.
Which woke up is went on the trampoline. Yeah, she's been doing it every day, which is pretty cool. Yeah, they're so excited to get it. They love it.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's good. Just wrapped up a project today. Going on to another one. I was telling Gina earlier, prior to going live, that I also have a construction company, and I had my year booked up this year, and a contract that I've been working for the past years just kind of decided, that they were going to go with someone else with no warning. So I was spending the past couple weeks digging in and doing what I used to do when I first got into business was just get on the phone and find as many leads and contacts and try to find some good work. And I did, which is pretty cool. So I'm starting a new project tomorrow with a homeowner that gave me the opportunity to work with them. I haven't even met them.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting. It's just pure by phone and text.
Wow.
So looking forward to that one. Our brother is actually going to help me out a few days.
Awesome.
On it. And yeah, just enjoying the heat. I actually don't enjoy the heat when I work. I have to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that.
I really don't. It slows me down a lot. For me, 10 to 15 degrees is the perfect working temperature outside.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it's definitely not minus 20 or 25, right? So, which is great. And that's it. Yeah, how about you?
Great. Just had a finish a session with my ladies tonight and just had a hoot, just laughing and being a little bit carefree tonight was fun. It was a fun night.
Oh yeah, talking about ladies things?
Yeah, just ladies things and just, letting just whatever come out of our mouths just fly. It was a good night.
Yeah, maybe we should do that tonight.
Yeah.
Too many people going around in the world today trying to tell us what to think and how to think and what to say. Let's make this a no holds bar free speech.
Right, yeah.
Relationship series live.
Yeah. So tonight's topic is roles in a family. Yeah, and I thought it'd be interesting because, you know, nowadays, like the roles are so diverse. Maybe one person is taking on like 3 roles, or maybe one person is taking on 0 roles, and maybe one person is taking on all the roles. So, what are the roles, right? And it could be a variety of things. But when I was researching, there were 4 main roles, and for a reason, right? So the first one was provision and resources. So obviously, there's importance to, especially if you have a family other than yourself included in the mix, especially if you have children. This is something that you're probably always thinking of, like provision and resources for survival for your family. And it's so easy now, right? Where it's like we just go to the grocery store, or we can just go, somewhere and get something so tangible nowadays. But I know for me, even just caring for myself and my partner, I find that this is a responsibility of mine, right? I don't feel like it's a burden. I just feel like it's a necessity. But you being in a household with your wife and your children, do you feel like this is your role? Do you feel like it is mixed? Do you feel like you take on a lot of that stress or responsibility with provision of resources for the family?
I mean, it really depends on what you're talking about.
Well, the provisioning and resources for the family. So it's like the necessity, the needs,
But it's shared.
yeah.
We were both, have careers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I'm not really providing anything that she's not providing,
Right.
right? I mean, it's, pretty equal in that sense, right? I mean, there are things that I feel, that I provide as resources that are more strengths that I have that she does, or vice versa,
Right.
right? For me, it's more of like, the psychological side of things, where I feel like I provide, right? How to, help the kids navigate challenges and obstacles psychologically, right? With their body, with their minds. I feel like those types of things are my strengths when it comes to the relationship. And, for example, Crystal, it's more of the academia,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's really great at that. But I think, you know, the provision of resources. I think nowadays it's a lot of the times it's really shared. I mean, if you want to talk about like finances or money, you know, it's very rare you ever see one person working in a relationship. Usually it is both. Mind you, during COVID, that has changed for sure. Like I went to get my teeth cleaned tonight at the dentist, and there's a girl that I know that I went to school with, and she said, "Yeah, like this is probably my 3rd week that I've worked this year," and she works full time there because she's at home with the kids,
Oh, okay.
right? So I think it really depends on the dynamics of the relationship, and maybe your circumstances and situations that you're in at any really any given moment. But yeah, I think that's pretty much my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I think too with provision and resources, it's the era that we're in, right? I think if you were to go back 50 years, it would be completely different conversation, right? Or 60 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, is a woman looking to have someone provide for her today?
No.
So, I mean, if you're a male and you're thinking, I want to be a provider and a provision of resources, you might be having to think of different ways to do that,
Yeah, 100%.
right?
Oh, yeah, because the second one you touched upon, but it's like the role of the nurturance and support. And I think I would like to say typically you might be in an unconventional household where you being the man, you're very conscious of this support. But I think typically still, I would like to say that maybe more women are part of the nurturance and support still in the household. Um, just from what I see and what I hear and what I observe, I think your skills are very not typical, especially I think with male to child relationships. So I think the nurturing and support in that sense, from what I see, I think it's more female dominated. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, you talked about going back, right?
Yeah,
you
but I'm
know,
also talking present tense too, right?
I
Like,
don't, I think I'd have to disagree.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's almost like 50-50 now. Like I even find myself a lot of the times playing a role, a lot of times I don't necessarily want to play.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't feel natural, but I'm conscious enough to know that that's what the kids need.
yeah,
Right. I mean, and you talk about the nurturance. I mean, if we want to talk about, human energies, that's the feminine energy.
yeah,
Right. Where, we both, because we've talked about this in previous videos where, both humans, both male and female, have masculine and feminine traits,
right,
but only one is very dominant.
right,
Right. And that, basically defines our personality, right? For the most part, we can have both characteristics or both energies, but one is always leading a lot more than the other, right? And I think, you know, I'm not going to think, I'm going to say being conscious of where we are today from what I see, in media and around me, that, there's been a major shift in this, where, the nurturance and the support is almost playing at an even keel today, or maybe not even, but a lot more, balanced than it's ever been before. Like, I mean, you would never, go back to our grandparents' generation to think about talking, like, oh, what's my grandfather? Oh, look at his feminine traits, or like, no. Like, I remember, going with like Nunnu for car rides and it was silent the whole time.
yeah,
Like, it's like, what do we talk about? you know, right? Where, like a feminine man would just be like, blah, 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 like talking, like constant conversation about everything and anything. And right, like it's just, where today, there's a lot more of this side, right? Where, I'm going for, a car, like even with dad growing up, like, the conversation, I'm not going to say was stale, but, wasn't the types of conversations I'm having with my kids.
right,
And you're seeing a lot more of that. You're seeing, you know, a lot of males say taking a lot of the roles that wouldn't been priority or prominent, in previous generations, right? So I'm going to say it's a lot higher today, where both are doing it, and maybe. I'm not going to say maybe females are doing it a little less today now, but it's definitely a lot more balanced for sure,
yeah,
in my opinion, anyway.
yeah.
What
I
are your
def-
thoughts on that?
yeah, I definitely see that men are taking more of the role, but I still see, like, when it comes to the nurturing side, I still see the feminine and the female dominate that a little bit more. If a child were to want that security or that, nurturing feeling, I typically see the children navigate towards the mother a little bit more for, like, being consoled or etc. You know what I mean? So I definitely agree with you, though. I definitely think that men are taking on the role a lot more, for sure. So what about life skill development? And I think this has to do with, the possibly the genders within the household. So if you have boys or if you have girls, like I said before, they might navigate towards that same sex parent for those life skill development. But on the flip side, if a parent is aware of, needs that child needs and maybe isn't getting fulfilled, then they have to step up and play both roles, right? What are your thoughts on life skill development?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree anymore. I constantly see it a lot of times because I'm conscious of this, where we'll be having a conversation with our kids about something, and my wife's going about it a certain way, and I know, because of the research and information and the courses they've taken, that's not what they need in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's they, whether it's academia or solving a problem with that, it's a call to connect with the feminine in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? To connect with them, to make them feel grounded and loved and not judged, and embraced and accepted, and then to flow through all the other things, right? But um you know I definitely find that it's actually quite funny, actually, because since COVID, it's kind of off on a tangent. um I've really worked with my boys
Mm-hmm.
on develop some certain skills in them, you know uh, getting more connected to their masculine side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that schools today are raising them to be a bunch of little sissy boys. Because it's funny, like, I think about it today, like, I don't know what it's like in your school, but like, I remember going to school, like, there was a significant amount of male teachers.
Yeah.
There was, where today there's not a ton. And maybe if they
Exactly.
are, they're not, the masculine type that I knew to, be around when, I went to school. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being scared shitless of, a lot of the teachers and intimidated by them, right? But, definitely there's been a lot of life skill development during this time, and I've seen them shift. I don't know if you have, where, he's, speaking up more, finding his place, finding confidence,
Mm-hmm.
being more creative, more courageous, right? So, with the boys, really worked with them on that. And with my daughter, when it comes to life skills, and academia, she shuts down a lot and can misinterpret or interpret things in a not so, where she gives in and just doesn't speak up about how she's feeling about things. And I have one-to-one conversations where I'm tapping into my, feminine side to really connect with her and just say, you know what, like, you need to start honing in on your skills and speaking up and communicating in a way intelligently, right? Where I understand when you're frustrated, you're trying to communicate. You're staying quiet, you're trying to communicate, but you need to understand that, your thoughts and opinions matter. And I'm trying to develop her, to be her own self,
Yeah.
right? And really hone in on the skills of what, because tonight I actually downloaded an article. It's actually really, really, really good. And I recommend everybody to read it now. Actually, it's called Parents of Exceptional Children, 7 Things That They Teach Them, right? And one of them is that they push their kids to play to their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, they demonstrate the link between hard work and extraordinary outcomes. They create a culture of striving and excellence. They encourage self-confidence. They are patient with their kids and ask questions. They promote early specialization, and they encourage competition and improvement. You know, so when it comes to being a good parent and really honing in and teaching your kids to be independent, to be strong, to be successful in life, you know, sometimes you need to develop those skills first in order to be able to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, no, I think it's really what it really comes down to when it comes to the life skills development, especially with kids. It's so important that you pay attention to the outcomes of the process.
Mm-hmm.
If it's constantly ending in arguments or fights, or them getting frustrated or quiet or angry, or you're getting those emotions, you have to change your approach.
Yeah.
I mean, growth comes from realizing that if you're a parent, you're a coach, you're the leader, you're a teacher. And if you wanted to teach skills in development, you need to grow first.
Mm-hmm.
You need to see what's not working, right? And then and I'm constantly trying to do that, and I still suck at things, even with all the extra things that I do to learn how to be a better parent and teach them these things. But hey, if you wanted your kids to be the best them, you got to start stepping up yourself.
Yeah, 100%. So the last one is maintenance and management of the family system. I think this has to be a partnership. I think that if you're going to work as a team, especially if you have children, you have to be on the same page, because I think that the congruency on your values and your upbringing and how you're going to raise your children and what you're going to do when times get tough, or, day-to-day management, especially in today's environment. I don't think it's a one-way street. I think it has to be definitely a complementary system between both husband and wife or partners. What do you think?
I think that when you step up, on the pew and you know, do your vows, before you say your I do's in the marriage process, the priests, leave out something very important. Do you take this person to be with for the rest of your life? And by the way, do you realize this is going to be the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, to 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 find and to create a family system where the maintenance and management, which means basically, essentially, you share the same beliefs and values on how to approach and create a family system, is tough as F.
Mhm.
Tough as F. Two people growing up in two different environments with two different fathers and mothers, with two different ways to deal with things and to think and to believe and to feel, to then come together in this beautiful harmony and sync, beautiful thing we call a marriage and relationship, and to live happily ever after. And things are going to just be so perfect and hunky-dory all the time. What a crock of fucking shit that is. You know, this is something that is a challenge,
Mhm.
right? It's a challenge. And I would say for the majority of people, it probably still is a challenge, whether you've been together for 40 years, 50 years, 20 years, 5 years. You see it. I see it. I live it. I see it. You breathe it. You see it, right? On TV, you see it in the media. It doesn't matter who it is or what, your bank account looks like. Everybody is struggling with this.
Mhm.
So how do you create a system, a management system, a family where there's, direct values and beliefs that are going to strengthen the family unit, that are going to protect it, that are going to grow it, that are going to nurture it? Well, I mean, you got to be frank and clear and sit down and say, look, these are, things that are important to the both of us, A, B, C, D, and E, and, how's it important to you to approach this? This is how it's important to me to approach this. These seem like, we're on the same page with this. Great. These seem like we're on opposite spectrums.
Yeah.
Well, how do we both get our needs met with this, where we don't feel like, we're giving in, or it's a cross between a really deep rooted belief that's really going to cause a lot of conflict. And I think this plays out in any type of relationship,
Mhm.
whether you're married and those kids are yours, or whether you're married and those kids aren't yours, or whether you're in a long-term relationship, and whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. But this system, like any system, is going to make or break the relationship. It's going to divide or conquer. It's going to separate or bring you together when things come up, because it's either going to be a conflict of beliefs and values, or it's going to be a system of commonality,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because I always say, like you said, the toughest thing is getting into a relationship with someone that isn't you. Right? Like, it would be easy if you met someone that was like a clone of you, but then where's the fun in that? Where's the learning and the growth in that? Because people bring so many different varieties of strengths and skills that you don't have, that you can learn from. But on the flip side, morals, values, beliefs, traditions, the ways you go about your daily life and practices, and that kind of stuff will be completely different. You'll be congruent in some ways, but you'll be completely different in other ways. And that's where I completely agree with you, where there can be a lot of uphill battles, trying to figure things out. And not to say that there won't be a beautiful outcome, but you'll definitely start to see the differences when, trying to deal with certain navigating points within the family system.
Yeah, well, think about it. We are all raised within a family to be
I
a
think your
certain
mic
way.
is off now, Sam.
Oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I just don't think you're talking from your mic anymore. I think it's just your voice.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I got my headset on. Is it not
Yeah,
plugged in?
that's okay.
Here. I think it's, wrong way. Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you though, yeah.
Oh, okay. And I'm not gonna screw with it now this late in the game. No, it's funny. Like, think about this. Like, we are brought up in a family, right? To be a certain way, to see what we see as a family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you meet somebody who is also brought in that context, and now but now also knowing that maybe you're conscious that you want to do things differently, right? And now you get in a relationship with someone who maybe shares those same beliefs, but maybe their different is different than what your different is, right? Or maybe they're also someone that wants to keep doing the same things and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you're in a relationship where both of you aren't wanting to change and keep doing the same, but that's not even working. Right. So it's just like you said, and this is really intelligent the way you said the family system.
Mm-hmm.
It's like any business that I know or that I hear about that is successful. It's the system that they have it in place is what makes it a success.
The operating system, yeah.
Right. And it's a system of beliefs and values that govern that company. Yeah. And it's the same thing when it comes to relationships. It's a real shame that there's not a lot more money invested and a push for this in the school system and with our government to really harness in on people when it comes to creating families or as you grow up, to give you the tools on these sorts of things that could maybe turn around the divorce rate. They could turn around, the dysfunctionality of families or, you know, children or adults, whatever it might be. But I mean, you hit it right on the nose. It's the system that ultimately decides whether or not it's going to be a success or not.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Well, if there's any closing remarks you have, I pretty much just think that when it comes to roles in a family, I think that you have to evaluate the time frame that you're in. So, I mean, in this century, I don't see it being going back to male and female dominated roles. I think it's just a participation of, whose strengths are what, how can we make this function? And sometimes it's overwhelming and challenging, to say the least. I also feel that there was a beautiful part to the nuclear family prior to this era where, there were certain roles that complemented each other. I do think there was a beautiful part of that as well that I think is lost nowadays. But in the present moment, I just think that all of these points we're talking about when it comes to resources, nurturance and support, life skills, and the family system, I think it's shared roles for majority. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, look, either way you look at it, there's flaws. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we grew up in this type of family setting you talk about, and I mean, I could pick out 1,000 flaws that existed, right? Where today, there's a lot less of those flaws, but now they're different type of flaws. Mm-hmm. And I think, oh, humans were so funny. I think if we could just come to realize that it will always be an imperfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Maybe we would just learn to just enjoy it that much more.
Yeah. I agree.
I just think, there is an element of achievement and making things better and, but, there's also an element of being unrealistic. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, hey, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah. So on that note, this is the relationship series, always talking about the matters of the heart and mind. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Ciao for now.